This is the Tech Phantom, and welcome to video number 10 of this walkthrough. We are playing Dark Souls for the PS3, and we are slowly making our way to the downloadable content. But first, we are exploring the lore of the game. And let me tell you what, guys, so far it's been so much fun to do this walkthrough and do research and look at the item descriptions and look at the dialogue and try to put theories together as to why the developers and why the game events happen the way they do. And I'm having a blast, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the walkthrough as well. Alright, so let me tell you what we're going to be doing in this video. We are going to be going down to the Tomb of the Giants. We are going to interface with Gravelord Nito, and we're also going to try to find Rhea. Now, normally I don't do this until much later in the game, so I'm going to be walking about very, very deliberately, very, very slowly, and it might get a little bit frustrating to you guys. It's not the best playthrough, not my proudest moments, but I survived, and I was actually trying to go as low as I could because I didn't want to die since I was recording for the playthrough. So that's what you guys are going to be seeing in this video. I am going to be talking about lore a fair amount. So let's get started. So this is the location for Gravelord Nito, and he is actually, to me, he is the weakest of the first of the great lords. And if you read the description for the Eye of Death, which we just picked up by evading this Titanite demon, the description of this item says that Lord Nito lies in wait for one of his servants, the Gravelord Servants, to use the Eye of Death. And once he does that, then you can interface with him or whatever. But apparently Gravelord Nito doesn't have a physical manifestation in this world, in the Dark Souls world per se. He lives in a parallel universe, and in order to talk to him, in order to interface with him, you have to use an Eye of Death. So, and he's and to me he's kind of the weakest lord, and his lore is not as closely tied together to the main story as the other great lords. But all right, but this is a very cool cutscene. We have to lie in the coffin. After a while, the coffin lid will close, and we will be transported to the Tomb of the Giants. The lid will open, and here we are. And this is the location. Again, this is the parallel universe where you can interface with Gravelord Nito. Now, Nito, I don't know what the smaller coffin is next to him. It's open, so somebody was laying there. Maybe that was the original coffin that he had, and when he found the Lord Soul, he became much more powerful, so he needed a bigger coffin. I don't know. That's just some 100% speculation on there. Alright, so he has given us a Gravelord sword and a miracle, the Gravelord sword dance. If you take a look at the description for the Gravelord sword, it'll tell you that Lord Nito can make weapons out of the bones of the undead. And he gives the Gravelord sword to Gravelord Servants, and that he's made them with his hands. He's made that weapon using the bones of the undead. So this is confirmation that it was indeed Pinwheel that revived Vamos. It was not Lord Nito, because Lord Nito has the ability to make weapons out of the bones of the undead, so he really doesn't need a blacksmith now, does he? So that's confirmation for the theory that I put forth in the previous video, that it was Pinwheel that reanimated Vamos, and it was Pinwheel that needs a blacksmith to equip the weapons that the skeletons use that he controls. Alright, So that was, that's kind of fun, a little confirmation of the theory that we put forth in the previous video. And now we're going to continue on along the way. If you remember on a previous video, I told you guys that there are several ways to go to make it down to Catacombs. You can drop down a couple of different ways. You can go through the shortcut. You can go through the fog gates. And this is actually another way. You can go through the area where Lord Nito is, and you can drop here, and you will find yourself at the bottom of the Catacombs. And we're just going to take out this necromancers here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to, after I get rid of the skeleton, I'm going to put on the wolf ring. Now, the reason I want to put on the wolf ring, after I get rid of this guy, I guess there was one more skeleton that dropped from above. Alright, and the reason I'm going to put on the wolf ring, and if you just saw that, guys, I forgot to pick up that skull lantern that the necromancer had as a drop, and I just realized that now. So this is going to make the walkthrough very, very tough. I'm going to have to go through the Tomb of the Giants with no light source, and that's a pretty dumb thing to do because he obviously dropped a skull lantern that I could have picked up. That was the item that was shining over his corpse. Alright, but anyway, I put on the wolf ring because if one of the skeletons on the bone shields clips me like they did a couple of times, I will not be stun locked, and I'll be able to escape them, and I'll be able to make it all the way down here. Alright, so we are back in the area where we fought the pinwheel boss. And as you can see, the pinwheel boss has these skeletons propped up in ropes, sort of like puppets or marionettes. So this is actually kind of cool. This is showing us, the game is showing us the mechanic for how these skeletons are reanimated. So if you remember in the cutscene where we first, when we first encountered the pinwheel, he was on an altar and he was doing something to a skeleton. So apparently the mechanic is that whenever he needs to reanimate a skeleton, he cuts them down. He cuts one of those puppets or one of those marionette. He cuts the ropes down. Then he takes the skeleton. He puts it on the altar. Then he does his pyromancy, or he does his offering or whatever, and he reanimates them. And when he's done, if he needs another skeleton, no problem. He cuts the ropes again, and he reanimates the corpse again. So that's kind of cool. It's something that I hadn't noticed before. Alright, so I'm paying the price here for not having a light source. Up until now, we've only encountered the small skeletons, and now we are having to fight some of the larger skeletons, and I don't know how I didn't die there, guys. I was very, very close. And if you're wondering why I'm eating all those foot stumps to the face, it's because I'm not very familiar with this area. I don't have it memorized, so I don't want to roll, and I don't want to die because this is going to be sort of a longer walkthrough, and it's pretty dangerous thing to do coming down here this early in the game, but I'm going to do it for you guys so that we can advance the lore, the dialogue a little bit. We're going to be finding, we're going to go try to find Rhea, who we know is down here on a pilgrimage. And how do we know that? Well, Petrus told us in a previous video, and also if you look at the item description for the cleric armor set, it tells you that the clerics use these traveling robes to purify themselves if they don't, as a way to erase the sin of not believing the Church of the White. All right, so let me repeat that, guys, because that's pretty important. The cleric set is implying that some within the way of the Church of the Way of the White don't believe in the teachings or believe that the teachings are wrong, and those that don't believe in the church are forced to go on a pilgrimage, a cleansing pilgrimage, and they're giving the robes, the cleric robes, to travel. And also, if you take a look at the description for the maiden set, it tells you that that dress is common to all traveling maidens. So the maidens of the Way of the White, when they travel, they're always going to be wearing the white robes. So Rhea was wearing the white robe, so obviously she's traveling and she is being escorted by her old schoolmates, Nito and Vince. So we're gonna see if we can find Rhea here in a little bit. All right. So, but first we need to talk to Patches the Hyena. If you guys remember him from Demon Souls, he was a little bit of an a-hole. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he's a little bit different in Dark Souls. I mean, we don't want to fall for his tricks twice. Or are we gonna fall for his tricks twice? And there's some treasure there, like he said. So far so good. But I guess Patches has not changed. Patches is still the a-hole that he was in Demon Souls. Unfortunately, Patches has some very good items, and he will become a merchant in Fireland Shrine after you defeat Gravelord Nito. So we won't be able to kill him, which is what I really want to do. But that's the only thing that's going to save his life. All right, so Patches, apparently he likes to wait down here for clerics, and then he likes to throw them down, and he likes to trap them in this pit, and waits until they either die or go hollow, and then he scavenges their corpses. So Patches is a pretty nasty dude. All right, so finally we have found Reah Thurlin, and she tells us that her companions, her bodyguards, have turned hollow. And if you read the description for the armor that Nico and Vince wear, the holy set, and by the way, the holy set is one of the better heavy sets, especially against physical defense. It has very high physical defense. Anyway, if you read the description of that armor set, it'll tell you that the warrior clerics have a reputation of being very difficult to kill and being unyielding in battle, and that is because of two items. The first item is their armor, which, like I said, is very strong against physical attacks, and also because they pack a special miracle that will allow them to replenish their health. Now I'm going to do something here that's pretty dumb, guys. I am going to accidentally aggro Rhea. So it's unfortunate that I did that, because it's going to mean that we're going to have to go and talk to Oswald the Pardoner. But on the plus side, we didn't kill her, so she's still available to us as long as we can get our sin removed by Oswald. We will still have the capability to be friends with her again during this playthrough. Alright, so I'm going to have to warp out of here. But before I do that, I want to show you the way out. And the way out is through here. And if you notice, when you're holding out the skull lantern on your left hand as a shield, you will see these blue orbs. And the blue orbs will point forward, will lead you out. And normally I would just kill those enemies there, but Rhea is aggroed, and I don't want to kill her, so I'm gonna have to use a homeward bone. And by the way, a homeward bone is also another item that's related to the Way of the White. It is made with the bone of the undead. So apparently the cleric knights hunt undead, and they use their bones to make bonfires and to make homeward bones, which are items that will allow you to warp back to a bonfire. They'll essentially allow for fast travel. Alright guys, so I'm going to be back here in just a little bit. I need to go talk to Oswald, the partner, and I'm not going to, there's no need for you guys to see me walk there and back, so I will be back shortly. Alright, and we are back, and I had to do a little bit of farming too, because it's going to cost me a pretty penny to be pardoned here by Oswald, the partner. So Oswald is an interesting character. He is from Karim, and all of the characters from Karim don't use shields. As a matter of fact, Lautrec is from Karim, and he doesn't use a shield either. And Oswald is not doesn't use a shield. So if you fight him, you'll notice that he has a weapon on his right hand, and then he has a parrying dagger on his left hand, which is sort of a signature item for folks or NPCs from Karim. Alright, so this is going to allow us to continue and go talk to Rhea. Hopefully she won't be mad at us anymore. So I will be back in Tomb of the Giants in a jiffy here, guys. Okay guys, and we are back, and that was a very, very long walk, and that was quite a number of souls that we had to use in order to cleanse ourselves of sin. But we do feel much better, and now we are ready to proceed. So we are back to where Patches was, and this is just going to show you what kind of a guy Patches is, but starts talking about temptations, which frankly makes him sound like a sexual predator. And just a really, really unlikable guy. And he also asks for our forgiveness, because we're both jolly undead. And if you answer no to his dialogue, he will actually try to bribe you. He'll throw you a bone. He will give you something. And that is twin humanity. So that's always appreciated, even from Patches, the most unlikable NPC in the game. If you say yes to his dialogue, he'll just say, fine, I'm glad that we're buddies again, and he'll give you some sarcastic laugh. But if you say no, you can actually score a little bit of humanity, which is always a good thing. Alright, so we are back in the area where Petras had trapped Nico and Vince and Rhea. And thanks to Oswald, Rhea is not angry at us anymore, and she thanks us for putting Nico and Vince out of their misery. And she says a couple of enigmatic things. First of all, she says here, thank you, these belong to them. And these as in plural, but you only get a miracle here. You get the replenishment miracle, which again is what makes clerics unyielding in battle. But I think originally she was supposed to give you either the holy set or another set that didn't make it into the game that was an elite cleric set. Maybe it was the holy set, maybe it was a different thing, but she was certainly going to give you something other than just the replenishment. I think she was supposed to give you an armor set. The other thing that she said, which is a little surprising, is that she says, it pains me to think about the it pains me to think about all the pain that my failings have caused. So what she's talking about there, and you saw me do a happy dance because, you know, that walk back and forth to Oswald was worth it. But what she's talking about, her failing, she's talking about the fact that she was on a pilgrimage and she didn't make it, or it cost Nico and Vince their lives because they went hollow. So she's pretty noble. All right, so let's do a little bit of a recap, guys. In the last video, we learned that the pyromancers like to wander into the catacombs. Well, in this video, we learned that the clerics also like to wander into the catacombs. And if you read the description for the cleric set, it'll tell you that clerics are encouraged to go on a pilgrimage if they don't trust the church, and that's sort of their penitence for not trusting the church. And so the maidens, if you take a look at the armor set for the maiden for what Rhea wears, the maidens only wear that set when they're traveling, when they're abroad. So Rhea is also on a journey. She's traveling. And if you talk to Petros and if you pay him for the information, which I didn't do, he will tell you that the Way of the White clerics are looking for kindling, for the rite of kindling. So that is the reason why the clerics, why Reah, and why Nito and Vince, and why all of the other clerics that Patches trapped and killed in the pit are going down to the catacombs. They're looking for the rite of kindling, which was held by the Pinwheel boss. All right, so let's talk to Framp here, see what he says, and he really doesn't have anything new to say. He's again telling us that we have to go through the booby trap Sense Fortress in order to make it to Enter Lundo. You can feed him chunks, and he will break them down for you. He will break down chunks into large shards, or he can break down large shards into smaller shards. So that's something very, very useful that he does. Alright, so one last thing that I want to say before I finish this video, as far as the Way of the White, and let's talk to Petros here. He is just an outright liar. He is going to start whining, and he's going to start talking about the lady that he was supposed to protect, and where could she have gone. So he is outright lying, because we know that he is the one that tricked Reah and Nito and Vince. So he obviously, for whatever reason, he does not like her, maybe because of her royal upbringing. Alright, but I was talking about the rite of kindling. If you read the description for the rite of kindling, it will tell you that bonfires are made out of the bones of the undead. And the Way of the White clerics are supposed to be on a quest to find kindling and to kindle the bonfires. So in order to do that, they must trap and they must kill the undead. So the Way of the White, for whatever reason, is after the undead. They're trying to kill the undead. They trap them, they kill them, they take their bones and they feed them to the bonfire. And maybe that has something to do with keeping the fires lit, which is that dialogue that Framp had told us about earlier. So we will find out a little bit more about that plot line in some upcoming videos. And that is going to do it for this video, guys. We are going to go to the bonfire in Sense Fortress, and we are going to get ready to go through that Maze of Horrors, which is Sense Fortress, and it's actually not that difficult. I'll show you how easy it is to get through it, and you can actually get through it pretty quickly, but we're going to take our time, and we're going to get lots of cool items that are there. So that's going to be the next video. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Tech Phantom signing off.